Points is back. And we're missing one person here. No Sam today. But that's okay. Harris and I got this. This is episode 148 of the Chasing Points podcast. We're here. It's been an exciting weekend for at least me. I can speak for all my teams won. And I know we're very, very happy. I know you're happy for two teams, so we'll definitely get to that. That's the Yankees. That's the Liberty. New York is on fire right now. So if you're not a New Yorker and you're listening to this, I apologize to hear the New Yorker ooze out of us this episode, because it's going to absolutely happen. So if that's the case, you can skip this podcast now, come back next week. It might get better. It might actually get worse. So we'll see what happens. We got NFL, of course, a little basketball talk. So we might as well just jump right into it, Harrison. But first and foremost, how you doing?
Thank you. I was about to flip.
The hell up.
I'm very happy for our Eagles. That was a good win yesterday.
Your team is playing tonight at 9:00, and they're going to get their asses whooped. That's your team. That bird.
They're not getting whooped by the Chargers. No chance.
Okay.
No chance.
Famous last words.
But yes, we're creeping up on episode 150. So that's a milestone. I like that. So
we do.
Yeah, we'll keep going strong.
Maybe. Maybe we'll see.
We're week by week, is like Jaden Daniels.
We definitely are week by week. It sucks that it is week by week for him, knowing that the matchup that we've all kind of been waiting for.
No,
it may not happen now, but maybe miracles have happened before. So let's see what happens. Oh no, Harrison, that's cool. Don't ask me how I'm doing. I'm doing well. See, this is why I don't ask Harrison.
You're the host. You don't need to be asked how you're doing.
Whoa. See? Okay. All right. Check that off. Let's get into dubs and L's.
Comes with the territory.
It does not. You're supposed to ask me nice things. This is why we can't have nice things together, is because you act like this. Harrison, what is your first dub of the week for football?
First dub of the week's going to the Packers. Not only did they wear the cleanest uniforms I've seen all year. I love sucker for all white uniforms, white helmet, white jersey, white pants. Love the look. But to get a big win against the Texans, and to do it in a game that it felt like a playoff game, like both teams were playing at a very, very high level. For them, obviously they allowed the Texans to come down and kick a field goal, but to bounce right back and march down the field and kick their own field goal with no time expiring to win the game. Just a really impressive showing by the Packers, and really impressive overall that they kind of made it out of the stretch without Jordan Love for a few games. But it could have looked bleak early, but they're sitting here at 5-2 in the toughest division in football right now, and they're really rolling. So I'm excited for them and for the rest of the year for them, because they are a very serious Super Bowl contender.
They absolutely are. They were considered that before the season started. Obviously stumbled out of gate because they lost to my team, not Harrison's team, the Eagles, and Jordan Love went down with that MCL sprain. But as you said, the ship has not sunk during that time. As I've talked about last week, and we'll continue to talk about what Matt LaFleur has been doing with that team. Yep. And now getting Jordan Love back, it's like he didn't even miss a beat. He's still just slinging the rock. I think we as fans should highlight greatness of franchises and what they do, and what the Packers do when it comes to quarterbacks and how they draft. Should be a study. Yeah. It should be studied for like years, because they do it extremely, extremely well. Or they
just get lucky.
Lucky with 3 quarterbacks in a row. I had two that are going to be Hall of Famers and one that potentially could be Hall of Famer. I don't know if that's luck. Not quite sure that's luck. But also they're the only franchise that's doesn't have an owner, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I love that. That. Yeah, that's an awesome way to kind of run your front office and just have the fans own the team. I still love that.
Agreed.
Very English Premier League.
That is very true. Very, very true. Yeah. Which we need to start talking about this on the episodes more.
We do.
Sam, regardless, we're going to make Sam watch it, because Sam doesn't watch it at all. And I've been trying to get him for like a year and a
Yeah.
half now to watch.
Just got to
Still
pick a
hasn't
team.
happened. That's what I said.
We got to
figure it
get
out.
English Premier League a little bit, and then Bacon has proposed us have Hockey Corner.
Bacon, that's probably not going to happen unless Harrison's talking about it himself.
That's what I told him. I
Probably
said
not going to happen.
you can call in, maybe first time, long time, and just
yes. You two can chat it up. I'll talk about the Rangers, and then that's
about
I'm
it.
out after that. Yeah, I'm good. Speaking of a New York team, or somebody that used to play for a New York team, my favorite player in the league and has been since he's arrived. I still will never forget the day that I sent a text to you guys in the group chat, and I said, if you guys don't know who Saquon Barkley is, you better pay attention because you're going to know his name when he comes to the NFL. And he's terrorized teams ever since then. And the fact that he just went back to play his former team, the New York Giants, or lack thereof, he absolutely he absolutely ran all over him. I was going to say something else, but I'll just keep it friendly right now. He ran all over the Giants. He had an opportunity per a report and Nick Sirianni saying himself after the game. He had the opportunity to have the most rushing yards he's ever had in the game and also break a record that was the most rushing yards against your former team. And Nick Sirianni came and sat down next to Saquon on a sideline and said, you're essentially about to break this record. Like, what do you want to do? Like, we're going to get you back out there. And Saquon said, let the boys eat, and sat there on the bench for the rest of the game because he did what he needed to do. The fact that this man was walking into the stadium and had fans yell at him and point to where his jersey was being burnt, and to endure that and still just to do what he did and take all that in stride. Shout out to Saquon. I'm glad he terrorized them. It was very, very pleasant to see. Very pleasant to see.
The quad father really showed out. Eagles, Giants, they were basically just trading sacks for the first quarter.
Yeah.
But his 50-yard run really sparked the Eagles and kind of set the tone for the rest of the game. So he played tremendous.
Yes.
I can't speak highly enough about Saquon. I love that he's on our team.
My team. Chiefs, you have the Chiefs as a W. What's up?
I do. More so the Chiefs defense. I feel like they're just so underrated.
They sure are.
They've kind of been carrying for a while. Patrick Mahomes had a shaky day. 2 interceptions. Did truck stick a DB in the end zone.
That was wild. That was wild.
The young man tweeted out, "This was my welcome to the NFL moment." So he took it in stride. So that's pretty cool. Pretty funny.
That. Yep.
But really the defense. Obviously the Niners were without Debo. And then lost Ayuk pretty quickly. So they're kind of going through their own turmoil and maybe a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover, a year from hell. But, props to the Chiefs. Last undefeated team remaining, just kind of casually going about their business, winning games, and a lot to do with their defense. So they're my other dub.
I appreciate the Chiefs defense, and Spagnuolo has been former Eagles defensive coordinator with Andy Reid. Spags has allowed that team to punch the Niners in the mouth again. This is the second time. Obviously, the Super Bowl is that. So I enjoyed it very much so to see Brock Purdy be humbled and see Debo cry not show up to big games because that's what he does. But yeah, I'm very, very I think the point I really want to highlight is what you said at the beginning of this is the Chiefs defense does not get enough credit. No. If that defense wasn't what it was in the Super Bowl, they don't win.
They don't win.
Period.
Yep.
Period. And they've carried that on, and they've gotten better with their cornerbacks are playing top notch. What is McDuffie back there? Like, it's just so damn good. I remember, I forgot who did the play, but it was basically a pass to the sideline, and the DB punched the ball straight up in the air, and it just flew out. He knew he wasn't going to be able to do anything, and just punched it up. And I was like, "Yep, they're winning the game." After seeing that, and they did. They did. Just very thankful for that. But this should scare the league again. These guys are undefeated, and Patrick Mahomes has not looked his best yet. Travis Kelce is. I still don't think unless he caught a touchdown this game, Travis Kelce hasn't caught a touchdown yet this season. Still to this point. So that's that's saying a whole lot to me. And when it comes to the big games, who gets the ball is going to be Travis. So shout out to the Chiefs because they just keep doing it.
Just keep winning.
They just keep doing it. And if you continue to bet against the Chiefs or Patrick Mahomes, you're an absolute idiot and don't like money. So you should probably bet with them instead of against them. I would always bet for this guy, Mike Tomlin.
It's a good bet.
That's definitely a good bet. Definitely a future Hall of Famer. Already has a Super Bowl ring.
Yep.
He made a decision that a lot of us question, including myself. Russ came back. Russ was ready to go. The speculation the whole week was, would Russ start or not? With Justin Fields being out there, the team has been winning. I mean, it hasn't looked the greatest, but they've been winning. And Mike Thomas says, I haven't seen Russ yet. So we're going to put Russ in. Russ comes out there, and Russ stinks it up from the beginning.
He didn't look good to start.
Absolutely not. But he absolutely turned it around.
Yeah.
And looked really, really good. And there's a quote from Mike Tomlin. He said, this is why I get paid the big bucks, essentially. All right. So, I mean, this is a two-parter because the other person is Russ. He could have came out as he started off. That could have been the continuation. That could have been him the whole entire game. But he looked like he was on the same page with his receivers after fumbling out the gates through the entirety of the rest of the game. He had command of that offense. It's like he knew this for his whole entire life and didn't miss a beat. Throwing the deep ball, which he still throws one of the prettiest deep balls ever. His play action is also smooth as hell. I think seeing Najee run, like I don't think I've ever seen Najee run like that, period. Pickens going off. He's even got a handshake with Russ. It was really, really cool to see that happen for Russ after hearing, I'm sure he probably felt some type of way of hearing that he wasn't going to start at all this year and watching Justin and then him getting this opportunity. I honestly and genuinely find it hard to believe that Justin's going to get his job back right now, but Russ has had hiccups throughout the season, so it's possible for Justin to get back in. So just stay ready and see what happens from there. But for now, kudos to Russ and always kudos to Mike Tomlin. So,
yeah, I think obviously, it's you have two talented quarterbacks and they're both very different. And, what Russ brings to the table is just entirely different. Like people were saying, you're kind of losing the running of Fields, which you are.
Yes, you are.
But what this team needs a lot more is being able to stretch the field and give Najee Harris some time and some space to run. It's just a domino effect of things where, if you're throwing to the outside, you're taking chances, you're stretching the field, which Russ does just better than Justin Fields. Like, that's just point blank period. Justin Fields has played great. He's done what he's been asked to do. He didn't turn over the ball. He took care of it. But the offense was getting stale. Like they started hot and then, they had, a bump in the road against the Cowboys, but it didn't look how it potentially could look. And I know we talked about saying, maybe they'll open it up a little bit with Justin Fields later in the year as he gets more and more comfortable. But you kind of really don't have to do that when you have a guy sitting behind him that can stretch the field like Russ can.
Yeah.
I'll give Russ a lot of props too, but I'll give George Pickens a little bit more props because some of those deep throws were a little bit underthrown, and he made some really nice plays.
You mean the catch? You mean the catch that he caught it 4 times to himself? That catch.
Yeah. So some of them were underthrown. So Russ is just shaking off some rust. Wow. Russ is shaking off rust. Russ is shaking off the rust. And I think he'll just get more and more comfortable. And he's been a solid quarterback, man. Like he was an MVP caliber quarterback, in years 3 and 4 with the Seahawks. First 2 years, obviously the defense carried him and he was finding his footing. But 3 and 4, when he had his legs and he had the arm to back it up too, people forget that how good he was. And he was rated highly amongst his peers as one of the best players in the league. So he's getting up there in age and, had a rough kind of ending with the Seahawks. And then the Broncos was just a train wreck. But it's nice to see him have a little bit of a resurgence. And we've talked till we're blue in the face about the Steelers defense. And if that defense continues to hold like it's doing and they can put some points on the board, they're golden. So yeah.
I just want people to know Russ is a part of Harrison's biracial Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So no
We got
matter
a
what,
couple of those.
he's not going to
Yeah.
say anything bad about him.
No, he's my biracial brother.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
so he's just going to champion him. So just so you guys know, a person that he's probably not going to champion is the quarterback of his former team, because he seems to have just disowned the Jets, because Harrison was a Jet Hawk fan before, which was a Seahawks and Jet fan, and he combined it together. And so now he's neither. Apparently, he's a Cardinals and Eagles fan. Wait, go ahead. Go say no. What? Go ahead.
The Jets just don't do anything for me right now.
So you just leave them high and dry when they're down?
I get that fandom is like through thick and thin, but I just can't watch. Like they're not fun to watch.
They're not.
You can go ahead. You could talk about Aaron Rodgers.
No, we could talk about this jointly together, because
sure,
it's not fun to watch.
No, it's just not fun to watch. I have no like rooting investment in this team.
Yes.
Like I like Sauce.
I love Quinnen.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I like Devontae Adams. I like Garrett Wilson. Breece Hall. They're fine pieces, but for some reason it's just so flat. And it's really hard to like map out time to be like, I feel like watching the Jets today.
Yeah.
It's just really difficult.
Yeah.
And yeah, I loved Aaron Rodgers when he was on the Packers, but he's not that guy anymore, and he hasn't been for a long time. And him constantly kind of going into the media after games and throwing the blame everywhere but himself is super, super annoying.
Well, to be fair, he did say, he has been saying that he needs to do better. So
I appreciate how like straight to the point he is, and like how much he does say and give to the media, and how open and honest he is. But I don't have to like that open and honesty. It's not like, I respect it, but I also like, I'm not riding with it. Like I just don't.
Yeah, you just want to see the actual like, stop saying it, just do it type thing.
But I know he can't anymore. Like he just can't do what he used to be able to do. And if the offense is going to rely basically on his arm, and his ability to like move the pocket and get out of the pocket and be mobile, because the offensive line is shaky at best. I can't get excited for this team. And, you know, I think they're going to rattle off some wins. Their schedule's easy, but it's going to be a lot of fool's gold, and they're just not good enough. And that's kind of where they shake out.
So for those that didn't get the gist, Aaron Rodgers is my L. I think Jets fans are saying, like, diehard Jets fans, because most of the Jets fans, and the only Jets fans I know, are pretty much diehard Jet fans.
Yeah, diehard Jets fans.
I think they would have been more satisfied with him retiring at this point. Because if you remember with the whole situation of him coming here, is Aaron Rodgers going to retire at the Green Bay situation? Where is he going to go? So on and so forth, and then ends up on the Jets. It feels like he's, with all of his aspirations outside of football, that seems to be now, to me, more has taken the front seat over everything else, at least based on the product that he's put out on the field. He does not look, as you said, he's definitely fallen off. You can definitely tell he's lost a step. It's not easy coming back from Achilles injury at any point in time, but to come back at his age with that doesn't help. But also, I think the bigger thing that a lot of people should be talking about more is the Jets got a guy because of his portfolio. Obviously, we know Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest passers that we've ever seen. He's definitely going to go into the Hall of Fame. Blah 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 blah. They got this guy hoping that this guy was going to be the culture for the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is not a culture player.
No, that's a good point.
He's not the guy that is going to lead your locker room. He's going to say what he has to say. And most of the time, his sound clips and his bites that you hear throughout there are very selfish. And as you said, are directed outwards. And for majority of his career, it was not directed inwards. Yes, recently it's been inward. Hey, I got to do better. Or in the past is spelling out relax, right? Aaron, Jets fans are not relaxing. They went all in. They went and got Devontae Adams. They went and got all the pieces that you wanted 2 years in a row. And nothing has changed at this point in time. You are essentially the laughing stock. And for him to say that they need to stop listening to the media, I really want him to clarify what he means by that, because it could go one or two ways. If he's saying stop listening to the media and saying that the media is talking bad about them, every time I've heard the media talk about them throughout the offseason, throughout the year leading up essentially to this point, they've essentially chose the Jets over and over and over again. So it's not the media that has done this. And the media is also not playing. They're not throwing the ball to Garrett Wilson. They're not throwing interceptions. They're not fumbling. That's not them. That's you guys, right? But he could also be saying that maybe the team took the hype of what media said that this team was going to be and thought that they were going to be the top seed Super Bowl contender as people pegged them to be, and they have fallen flat. The Bills don't look like they're going to give that division back anytime soon.
No, three games up now.
Exactly. So they're going to have to shoot for a wild card, which is going to be hard.
But that's the tough thing with, being a Jet fan. Like, when Aaron Rodgers was available on the market, like, what are you going to say? No? They had Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Like, it's clearly an upgrade. It's just not enough of an upgrade.
Which is wild to think.
Yeah. It's you're tabulating all of the talent he has and the baggage that comes with it, because he's got a lot of baggage. But yeah, they're kind of stuck in that sense. Like, you're not going to go back and be like, no, let's not try this. So they tried it, and it's not working. So I don't know where they go from here.
I don't know, but I'm sure Jets fans are looking better right now than the Browns fans. And you have them as taking an L, and I was going to put them as my L too. Yeah. So I definitely want to hear what you're thinking, and I'm sure we're on the same page.
I had the Niners for a second, but I really wanted to touch on kind of the Browns fans. And, as much as you don't like a guy, or as much as, you're not rooting for him, cheering when he's injured and kind of his whole career hangs in the balance, and laughing and doing what it may be, that's just really poor taste.
I agree.
And that's really it. I don't want to scold anyone. I'm not in a position to scold fans or whatever it may be for however they react to a team or to a player. But I think we just have to have some decorum as like a society to say, if a guy's down and injured, like that's off limits. Like, we got to draw the line somewhere. And I think the line needs to be drawn there. And Jameis Winston had a great kind of 3-minute talk afterwards. Myles Garrett, the same thing. I wish they would have left out like the model citizen off the field, because that's just not the case either. Like, this guy is
definitely not.
Deshaun Watson is a complicated person.
He is.
He's got a lot of things,
as most people are.
But yeah, even with how checkered his past is, and whatever that may be, you still really just can't do that. Like, it's not okay. So that's why they get my L for the week.
It's L squared, because I will speak for myself, because I've ruptured my Achilles. Harrison tore his ACL.
Yep.
And for people that have injured themselves like that, this injury, those type of injuries are most of the time some of the darkest times in people's lives.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's I'm going to highlight that more, but to your point, that what you said is, it's not, I think people believe Deshaun was just going out there and just like, hey, I'm just getting my money and I'm not actually really trying. Like, his teammates obviously know that he was trying. He may just not be the guy that he once was before. And that's okay. It sucks that they gave him guaranteed money, and you guys have to watch him as a Browns fan, and knowing that you weren't moving the ball, and you've moved the ball when you had Flacco and so on and so forth, other people playing there. I get it. I understand that from a fandom point. I also understand that you may not like Deshaun Watson as a person based off what happened off the field. That's completely okay. We don't have to like everybody that we see encounter in life. That's also okay. But laughing and cheering for a person suffering a severe injury is disgusting. I will again speak for myself. When I ruptured my Achilles, that was one of the darkest times in my life. It's not like I lost a bunch of people and went through drug addiction, stuff like that. Those are serious too, but this was serious to me. And not being able to do something that I know that I was able to do before, which was walk. Have freedom, be able to go where I have to go. Yes, and people are gonna say, well, he's got millions of dollars, he's gonna have the best in this. I get that. He's still a human fucking being. At the end of the day, he's still a human being. You may not agree with the shit that he's done. That's perfectly fine, but he's still a human being. Give people some grace sometimes, because you would want people to give you the grace if you had a shitty situation that people may have agreed or not agreed about either. I just wish people would do that. But as fans, I understand, I get it. But as you said, Harrison, doing that when somebody's injured is absolutely should be off limits. No matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what.
We just gotta draw the like we
do.
It's gotta be somewhere, man. Like we have
do.
to have some type of compassion. Some.
We do. And speaking of drawing a line, the Giants drew a line this offseason, and the line was, we're not going to bring Saquon back, and we're going to ride out with Daniel Jones. And that was a line in the sand that I'm sure they are trying to erase right now.
Daniel Jones hasn't thrown a touchdown in MetLife in 658 days.
Yeah. Daniel Jones is terrible. And the fact that they did not Joe Shea is the GM of the Giants. I don't know if you remember in Hard Knocks, his son told him to do what? Draft Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Dad, draft Jaden Daniels. I know Mr. Mara over there is saying maybe we should hire your son as the GM because he made a better decision than you. That had to be if I'm the owner of the Giants and I see what Saquon did after I said openly, I would hate to see him go to the Eagles and then watch him come back into our home and run all over us. We got to have a conversation after. And we're gonna sit down and watch all of Saquon's highlights 10 times over, and you're gonna tell me what you thought was a good idea to let that man walk out the door. But I also give him an L because you're the owner and you sign off on these things. You can say yes and you can say no. You can 100% say, this is my team, bring him back. I don't care what you want to do. And you didn't do it because you wanted to believe in your GM. I understand. You hired him for a position. You want him to do what you want him to do. But you also had the final say. You were a judge and jury, and you allowed it to go. And Saquon came back and teabagged your whole team multiple times as you ran down the field. So have fun, Giants fans. I'm very, very happy about one particular Giants fan that I know is sulking right now. So, yeah. That's my L.
I have nothing to add about the Giants.
You shouldn't, because they suck.
I said a couple weeks back they might be decent. If you're playing the Panthers and they could get some wins there, but yeah, they're down.
I want to let you know that Brandon Graham, who is a defensive end, lined up at cornerback across from Malik Neighbors during that game. I want you to know that.
Yeah, they just don't respect Daniel Jones at all.
Exactly.
My favorite Daniel Jones thing, I love when he does this. He'll hike it, and then he'll like inch closer towards where the blitz is coming from. He does it so much. Like they'll show the all 22 kind of like replay.
Yep.
And like the hikes the ball, and then you see clearly where the blitz is coming from, and he just keeps drifting towards it. Like
it's a bug towards the fly towards the light. He's got to go towards it.
He's like, oh shit, something's coming. He does that.
Oh, what's over there? Let's go see what's
He
over
does
there.
that shit so often, bro.
It's not great.
So often.
I just will give a shout out to our boy Brendan, and shout out to my boy Kyle. The only two Giants fans that I really, 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 really respect. Oh, Rel too. Because I just feel for them. I'm happy as hell because they're in division. I don't have to see the Giants win. But that just can't be fun to watch your team just do this and blatantly not make the right moves. But luckily for them,
last week we said what, like Cowboys, Giants, who has most wins, and I said push. I'll retract that.
You're gonna say Cowboys now, huh?
Yeah, I'll say Cowboys now.
Yeah, okay.
Because Giants up next. They got at Pittsburgh versus Washington versus Carolina. So there we go. Bye week versus Tampa, at Dallas versus New Orleans versus Baltimore.
If they lose against Carolina, do they just sit everybody down for the rest of the year?
It would probably be smart to.
Okay, that's what I would think.
You probably start kind of tanking at that point.
Well, yeah. You know who should probably start tanking at this point is the Saints. The
Saints. They fooled us.
They did. They did. It was fool's gold, and this is your L.
Yeah, they tricked us. We've lost 5 in a row at this point. Yeah, win number 1 against Carolina. So fool's gold. We should have saw that. And then at Dallas, they beat the hell out of the Cowboys.
Thank you. I'm still thankful for that.
44-19. How did that happen? Mm-hmm. But since then, losses to Philly, Atlanta, KC, Tampa, and now Denver. Denver's one of the best defenses in the league.
Yep.
So Spencer Rattler predictably looked really terrible. But for a whole team to come out like that at home, held Bo Nix to 160 yards, and lost 33-10. So they got a tough rest of the way, and it's not looking good for them. They could crack my non-powerless rankings sometime later this year. But,
I'm sure they'll be there within the next 2 weeks.
There's some really bad teams that they got to catch up on, but we'll see.
Yeah. We'll definitely see.
We'll see.
Enough there. We're going to go to my power rankings for this week. Before week 7, this is supposed to be. And this does exclude Monday Night Football. So at 5, I have the Packers. They have cracked the top 5 now because they have just played, as Harrison mentioned earlier, they have played some phenomenal ball in recent memory. They definitely were a Super Bowl contender to start the season. They have shown that again. Vikings, they dropped to 4 because they lost to the number 2 team, which we'll get to. They're still a great team. That was a nail-biter of a game, and they barely lost that game. They could have won easily. But the Lions are really, really good, and they look like they have not missed a beat still, even with Aiden being down. At 3, the Ravens, because they haven't played yet, they will be playing tonight, Monday Night Football, but I'm sure they're going to win their game. At 2, as I mentioned, that leaped over is the Lions. The Lions just look really, really good. Honestly, the Lions are the cream of the crop in NFC right now. I put them at 1. Definitely you have the Packers, definitely have the Vikings, following up behind there, Eagles up there, Commanders up there. So it's pretty solid, but Lions have to be, for me, solidified at number 1. And then Chiefs.
2.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean number 1 for NFC.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
The Chiefs are number 1, just period, because as we mentioned, they're undefeated. And they still have the best quarterback in the world, Craig. So here we are. And that's my power rankings for this week. Harrison, your thoughts?
No disagreements. I think it's starting to shake out a little bit.
Agreed.
The good teams are rising up.
Mm-hmm.
Bad teams are
cream of the crop.
Bad. Yeah. So,
well, we'll get to bad. Speaking of bad,
let's get to bad.
Yeah.
So 28, we got the Titans. They took another L. 29, Jaguars. They're the only team in this bottom half with 2 wins. So shout out the Jaguars. They beat up on the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
How bad do you have to be to make the Jaguars look good?
Pretty bad.
30, we got the Browns. They're just chilling. 31, Patriots. They're getting way down there. There is no hope in sight for them.
Nope.
Drake May looked okay though. I will say
He
that
does look good. I'll give
Drake
him
May looked
for
okay
what it is. He looks good.
for what it is.
Yep.
I'm pleasantly surprised with how he's looked.
Okay.
And then at number 32, the Panthers, we're at minus 133 point differential. I'm gonna have to look up some stats on worst point differential.
Yeah. Well, they're probably gonna have it by the end of the year
because it's bad. It's rough. So that's no honorable mentions for this week. Everyone else is like 2-5 and not playing that great, but for various reasons, injuries, so on and so forth. So yeah. That's the powerless rankings.
There we go. I didn't do the records for this week. Sam normally does that, and I'll let him update that when he comes back and put it on Instagram. So we're just gonna get right into our picks for this week. Teams that have a bye is the Bears and Cowboys. You put?
I didn't put that.
Okay, so it's not the Bears and Cowboys because I believe they both play. Cowboys just had a bye, so that's just up there. My bad, y'all. Thursday Night Football, Vikings at Rams. I have the Vikings. Harrison, you have the Rams.
I do.
Why?
I think the Vikings are going to have a tough time bouncing back against the Lions that they just played. And then with the Rams, you got Cooper Kupp and Nakua coming back this week. And I haven't hated how they've played. I think Matthew Stafford is doing like the Lord's work with what he has around him. So I just I think just short week for the Vikings. Tough little bounce back. I didn't pick too many upsets this week. So I just have a little feeling about that one. And again, could be completely wrong. My picks are a little off the wall sometimes, but I try to take some different paths. So
you definitely do.
But I think the Rams offense will look better this week with those weapons.
I agree.
They sat them out. They probably could have returned, but they sat them out, let them get healthy, and now you got some weapons going into Thursday night. So that's just my thinking there.
Well, since you have some wonky picks, I'm surprised you didn't pick the Packers over the Jags over the Packers.
Yeah, we're not going that far.
Okay, just
I said last week, Sam picked the Jaguars. We picked the Pats. I said there will be no instance or any chance where I pick the Jaguars for the rest of the year.
Yeah, same right there. And we both picked the Packers for that one. Cards and Dolphins, one of the only times I'll pick the Cards this year. We both have the Cards there. Jets and Patriots. I honestly almost picked the Patriots. That's how bad the Jets have been.
They're not that bad. Well, the Jets are just mid. The Patriots are truly terrible.
What will you do if the Patriots beat the Jets?
Nothing. Okay. I'll do nothing.
Everybody,
I'll be disappointed.
I will do a live stream of the aftermath if the Jets lose to the Patriots.
You can hit up Sam for that one because I have no feelings.
I don't need either of you. I'm just gonna get on there and just talk my talk. Ravens versus Browns. This is very easy. Ravens. Eagles at Bengals. I have Eagles. You have Bengals. This is why Harrison is not an Eagles fan. So why do you have the Bengals?
I just think the Giants game is a complete throwaway, and I still have questions about the Eagles. They dominated a really inferior team. Bengals have looked better of late, trying to get their stride offensively. They did let the Browns hang around for entirely too long yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, home team.
Just remember, I'm saying this. Quinyon Mitchell will shut down Jamar Chase. Remember that.
Sure.
Colts at Texans. We both have the Texans. Very easy. Titans at Lions. We both have the Titans because, that's a lie. We have the Lions. Falcons at Bucks. Both have Bucks. Saints versus Chargers. Chargers. Bills. Seahawks. Bills. Bears versus Commanders. I put if Jaden plays the Commanders and you have the Commanders no matter what. That's crazy because Marcus Mariota is not beating the Bears.
He looked great yesterday.
He did.
And I think, not that Jaden isn't super special, but they still have a lot going on around that team where I think they're going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to pick Caleb though. That's a tough one. I might change that one, but we'll see. We'll see how Jaden looks.
That's why I said if Jaden's playing, then I'm Commanders. If not, I will be the Bears.
Yep, that's fair.
Chiefs at Raiders. We both have the Chiefs. Panthers versus Broncos. Bronco country. Let's ride.
Watch this be the week the Chiefs lose, though. Like what? Like just stupid stuff.
I don't think so. Just because of the
I
quarterback. Because
don't.
of the
I don't
quarterback.
either. I don't either. But
But I know Crosby gives Patrick Mahomes fits.
yeah, the
But
league is dumb, man.
I
Yeah,
don't.
I don't see the Raiders putting up any points
No,
regardless. So
not against
yeah,
that defense. Hell no.
no, yeah.
Sunday Night Football, Cowboys at Niners. I have the Niners and you have the Cowboys. I will tell you flat out, the Niners are going to win by 2 touchdowns. Even though I don't trust how the Niners look, I don't trust the Cowboys even more than that. So
I don't trust either of them.
yeah, that's fair.
But it's like Brock Purdy's looked very good, but without any weapons, like what can you really expect?
Well, if you listen to some trolls' narratives on social media, a quarterback is supposed to do everything without weapons, and when a quarterback has the weapons, and they're overrated and they can't do it without it. So
Jerry said they're gonna get right over the bye week. That's what he said.
Well, yeah, he also said they're going to go all in. He also threatened a radio host and told him that if he doesn't basically ask him the questions that he wants him to ask, he's going to get rid of him. So Jerry's just senile, so he can just do what he's got to do. Giants, Steelers. It's very easy on this one. Steelers are probably going to win by damn near 3 touchdowns. So yeah, that's that. And that's the NFL, everybody. And now, more importantly, New York is a champion. The New York curse is over. There's a reason why I'm wearing my mint hoodie right now.
I was wondering why you're wearing that color.
Oh, I Zoomed today. My background was the Liberty logo.
Nice.
Because my coworkers mostly are from Minnesota. So
ooh, that's tough. Okay.
Yeah, they told me that Liberty weren't going to win. So I made sure I just pointed behind me, and they shook their head when I came into the meeting. Liberty wins their first ever finals. It was stressful as hell.
Yep.
We were texting each other, and Stewie made it hard.
Sabrina made it hard.
Sabrina made it hard. I was just screaming at the TV and said, Sabrina, stop shooting threes.
Yeah.
I was screaming at the TV and said, Stewie, make free throws.
Yep.
I know there's a big controversy at this point in time, and that's been talked about. Was it a foul or was it not a foul? Harrison, okay. I do agree with you. It was not. They got away with it. I also feel like the last game there was some calls that shouldn't have been called against Liberty too. So 100%. I think it kind of just balanced each other out. But I did see the head coach of the Lynx and what she said, that she knows that the trolls are going to say whatever. She said, bring it on. But to me, I understand she feels that the refs took the game away from them, but you guys went into overtime and you had an opportunity to win there as well too. And the Lynx were not making their shots in overtime, and Liberty weren't making. They made a couple key shots starting out that overtime, and then they weren't making anything. But the Lynx didn't do anything themselves, so you had chances to win the game too.
Definitely.
But I do get her anger. Like they feel that the game was taken away from them. You know, refs do things sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a foul. There was definitely some questionable calls, but
that's for sure.
But refs are refs, and that happens across the board. And if it comes down to one play in a game 5, that's not possible. Like, it's all the plays, it's everything, it's the whole series in totality. So, yes, were they a little bit robbed? Is a hard word to say, but
agreed.
Was it questionable and probably wouldn't have been a foul in many other instances? Probably not. So, but hey, that's the way it shakes out. And yeah, New York's had a lot of these bad kind of calls and bad moments go against them for the latter part of 2 decades now, across all sports. So it's nice to finally have, a champion. Barclays looked amazing.
It sure did.
The crowd looked incredible. I wanted to check tickets last minute, and it was through the roof.
Yes, it was. That's why I didn't even say anything to you guys.
No. But just the moment, and just seeing Teresa Weatherspoon out there, and all the Liberty greats, and
Rebecca Lobo calling the game with Ruco.
It was a scene.
Yeah.
It was a moment for the WNBA, and a perfect cap to this whole season of everything that went along with the NBA and everything around it, and all the discourse and all the conversation, and Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. But you have a
who
true,
was at the game.
who's at the game wearing
Yep.
a split jersey. Interesting
Yep.
choice.
Very interesting.
But throughout all that, you get a really, really deserving champion. The Liberty, you lost last year to the Aces in heartbreaking fashion, blowing a big lead. So yeah, really happy for the team. I watched them a bunch this year. They were
Same.
really fun to watch, and they finally got it done for New York. 0-5 previously in the finals, but now they're champions. So I'm happy.
The first franchise in WNBA, by the way,
Yeah.
the Liberty.
Yep.
The first franchise and finally got their first championship. Long overdue. I can honestly say that as a New Yorker, as a sports fan of several New York teams, I did not think that the WNBA team was going to break the curse of New York not winning.
No.
And
Yeah.
it's such a pleasant surprise because these young ladies embodied this Stewie being from Syracuse area, uh, being a lifelong New Yorker or whatnot, and coming and choosing to come here. The storyline with Sabrina, Jacquel Jones, I can go on and on and on and on. It was just beautiful to see it all come together. And I told you guys via text, I think I also said it on here. I said once the Aces were done, I said this was the Liberties to win. And there's no reason they should have won, but also kudos to the Lynx because them girls are tough.
Yeah.
Tough. Oh my gosh. Like ballers, absolute ballers. So I have a funny feeling they'll be around a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Both these teams will still, they're going to reload and come
they'll
back
see
for
each
more.
other. They'll see each other more for sure. Speaking of what we'll see more of, the NBA and WNBA have re-up with Nike for 12 more years to be the distributor, the sponsor, the jersey makers of both leagues. And I'm very happy with it because it would feel wrong to not have Nike as that. And that's just my opinion on that. Your thoughts on that, Harrison?
Not many.
Okay.
Yeah, best apparel provider. Gotta kind of stick with it. They have the numbers on that?
I did not see
them.
the number. Yeah, did not see the numbers myself.
I wonder what that number is. Yeah.
NBA season starts when you guys hear this podcast, Tuesday. If you're not listening now.
We got Knicks at Boston and Minnesota at Los Angeles. So two good matchups right off the bat. Knicks got some injury woes early. I'm concerned. Concerned for them.
Don't say that too loud. You're still in New York. Knicks fans might kind of jump you or something like that.
They're also concerned. I talked to a lot of Knicks fans. They're concerned.
Breaking news: Brandon Ayuk is out for the season. He tore his ACL, which
it's tough.
I sent it to you guys. So Harrison sent me the Deshaun Watson, and I sent. I saw the Brandon Ayuk thing, and I knew immediately that he was done. The way that went, that was not good. But kudos to him for getting that contract signed. This is why these guys fight so hard to get these contracts to make sure that they're covered. Imagine he was on a 1-year deal, didn't have a contract, and then he would be out here, trying to figure out from there.
That's right. You're 100% right.
So glad he signed that contract. Good for him. But I wish him a speedy recovery for sure. He's now an ACL brother with Harrison. Baseball. I'm so happy that I chose this year to finally dive myself back into baseball, and it's probably because of Juan Soto, especially for the Yankees. But I was never too far away. I was always watching the minor leagues more than anything, and I didn't feel that this year was going to be the year. I won't lie and sit here and say to you that I thought the Yankees were going to go to the World Series. You would call me the biggest liar in the world. Did not think that at all. But to see what this team started to do throughout the season, I said, there's a chance. And then they had that big drought. And I was like, there's a chance they're not making the playoffs. And then they came back again and said, okay, hold up. We're going to make something out of this. To see the Yankees get this far, the series against Cleveland, taking it 4-1, to see the roles reversed between Giancarlo and Aaron Judge, where Judge is the one smashing all the home runs during the regular season, and Giancarlo is just like, eh. And then it gets to the playoffs, and Giancarlo is just like, yep, I got it. Don't worry. I'll take it from here going off. That home run by Juan Soto, that looked like it was going to be a pop fly, and it just kept
I know.
carrying
Kept going.
and carrying and carrying. And I knew every time he said something in the pitch, he was talking to him, staring him down. Gaddis, he let Gaddis know, like, you're going to have to throw that fastball. And he did, and he didn't miss. And now the Yankees are in the World Series. And we get to see them go against the Dodgers, a team that we've been wanting to see the Yankees go against for so long, even before Shohei was there. We wanted a Yankees-Dodgers World Series. But now it's even better that you have the number one player in Judge statistically this year and the number two player, Ohtani, statistically this year. I know people will say they would take Ohtani over Judge. I'm not arguing that. That's fine. Either one, you can see what they would get you. But they've now are tied with the Celtics and Lakers for the most times facing another team with 12. So they're now even up with that. Dodgers finished that series against the Mets, which shout outs to the Mets. I know this is a Yankee biased podcast, but Harrison was champion the Mets. That was his choice to beat the Dodgers. That's not taking a shot at you, Harrison.
No.
They were really, really. I felt that could have went anywhere, and it's just a couple. It went back and forth with the scores. Like the one game is the Dodgers all the way up. Next game, that's all the way up, and so on and so forth. The Mets did not give up for 1 second, and they caught fire. And that team is. I think this is just going to attract high free agents, and I know they're on the short list of
hopefully not
Soto.
The one.
Yeah, hopefully not the one that we as Yankee fans want to keep. But shout outs to them. And then Ohtani, where we started this season off thinking this guy might not even play the season, that he might be suspended the whole season with the betting allegations and so on and so forth. This guy had never made the playoffs prior to this, being with the Anaheim Angels, and his first year with the Dodgers makes it all the way to the World Series. Absolutely amazing. Dodgers finished their series 4-2. Yankees finished their series 4-1. Harrison, I said it absolutely a lot. Your takeaways from those two series, and then who do you have winning the final?
So I'll start with Mets Dodgers. Just a really fun series, a lot of runs. The Mets they just needed to steal like a weird game, and they just never quite could. They just traded the way. I joke with my Mets fans, like Grimace is completely taken over, and Mr. Met must be like despondent somewhere.
Yes,
he's lost his job,
crying in a corner.
Yeah, they're a fun team all throughout this run, and as a Yankee fan, there is that big brother little brother kind of rivalry. I never didn't care for the Mets just because it's elitist to say, but they've never quite been on the level of the Yankees.
Yeah.
And, shots fired.
Before we were born, they were, but still, they weren't.
Yeah, so I know Mets fans have the thing against the Yankees, but I've just never had that against the Mets. So I've always enjoyed watching them and what they're doing and how they build a team. And so really props to them on the run. All the Mets fans I talked to, like, we're playing with house money at this point. So great run by them. Dodgers, just kept hitting the ball in play, and that is what scares me for the World Series matchup. But for the Yankees Guardians series, never really concerned. Even when we dropped the one game, it was,
which they shouldn't have.
They shouldn't have. It was kind of fluky, and all the games were tight. But I just believed in the guys we had, and I thought they would come through, and they did. And they're getting paid a lot of money to do so. So, I'm gonna obviously take the Yankees. That would be blasphemous for me not to take them here.
It sure would.
But the Dodgers are super scary.
They are, because they can hit their asses off.
They're super scary. I don't like the Dodgers pitching. So if our bats show up and do what they're supposed to do, I think, we're looking at another World Series ring. But
I agree, but we just saw another New York team. We just saw another New York team with their bats go off, and they still didn't complete the series, right?
I know. Yeah, exactly.
But they didn't have the best, hitter in Major League Baseball.
No.
So that'll change that for sure. They do have Lindor, who definitely should have been on the finalist list for at least something. this year because he's absolutely a monster. Shout out to Lindor, my shortstop in Diamond Dynasty on the show. So appreciate him for that. I think it's very, very clear if you've listened to the show, I'm absolutely a Yankees fan. There's no possible way that I would go against them. My sister might be excommunicated because she did just tell me recently when she was in Japan that everybody was wearing Dodgers jerseys. She asked them, and not being a person that watches baseball, they told her about Shohei Ohtani, and she's like, he's really good. And she's like, so I think I'm gonna be a Dodgers fan. I said, well, if you are, just know that you're not a part of this family anymore. So
it's like a vegan mac and cheese situation. You gotta get rid of those people in your life. Like,
if you know, you know. I'm not going to open up this can of worms for these people on here.
Yeah.
Let's get to college football. Georgia beats the brakes off of Texas. They also beat the brakes off of my 17-leg parlay. So did Michigan. So did Alabama.
17-leg parlay is so insane.
Bro, I will tell you this, and I've learned this about myself, is that I will never I would never bet on Alabama ever again, because every time I bet on Alabama, they lose. So I will tell you people, if I ever decide to bet on Alabama, you should go the opposite way.
That's
and
tough
put
to
all
do,
your money.
Considering they basically win like 90% of the time.
I know. So when I put my money down on it, it's just like, you know what? We know you're doing this. We're not going to win.
Yeah.
So yeah, they dominated Texas. It wasn't even close throughout that whole game.
It was a real welcome to the SEC moment for Texas. They just gotta. I still think they're very good. They just need a little bit more size up front to compete with the Georgias and the Bamas. I mean, not Bama this year, but the Georgias of the world.
Yeah, I think I did not like what they did to Arch Manning, and somebody took a picture and put it side by side to Eli. And
the Manning face?
Yeah.
It lives on.
It's crazy. They didn't need to do him like that. So this has changed the rankings, and it's blown them up. And I think you put here, who do you think is going first, meaning in power rankings?
No, I meant draft pick, because we talked about it a little bit.
Okay, well, first I'll just give the power rankings right now that have changed. Oregon's 1. They've now jumped to 1. Georgia has jumped to 2 over Penn State, who is 3. Ohio State is 4, and Texas has dropped to 5. So very, very interesting with that. And Penn State plays Ohio State in 2 weeks. They play Wisconsin this weekend, so that'll be interesting. But who do I think is going first? So we had a discussion about this off air, and my heart and my mind says Travis Hunter. And I believe I said this on here when we were talking to Sam about this, is if you overthink going Travis Hunter, you're stupid, right?
Yep.
But then I had to think about NFL execs, and some of them go with what is the hottest thing in the moment, and somebody's going to overthink this, and they're going to choose somebody that they should not choose. So for me, Travis Hunter should be 1. 2 is where it gets interesting for me, because it's absolutely going to be a quarterback, but the question is, who is the quarterback going to be? It should be Shedeur. That's who I believe it should be. But Cam Ward is statistically the best quarterback in college football right now. So some execs are going to look and say, well, if I get Shedeur, I get this attitude, I get Dion, I get this, I get that, I get that. I get the watch situation, I get all this extra stuff. And Cam is just over here doing what he has to do and have the best statistics. I'm going to take Cam over Shedeur. Now, I don't think it's necessarily wrong. I don't. But I do believe Shedeur is going to be a better prospect. That's just my belief. But then we start talking about Ewers, who it has, prior to Shedeur and Cam, was supposed to be the first pick. I believe that he's going to drop down low. I believe that Shedeur is going to drop down low just because of the NFL executives. And by low, I mean mid first round, and Ewers is going to be in the latter half of the first round. So, excuse me, top 10, I should say. I apologize, top 10. I think Ewers is probably going to be either 10 or fall right outside of it. And I think Shedeur would be like 6.
Okay.
Do I believe that's what should happen? No, but I'm basing it on them.
Here's the thing, though. Yeah, I asked the question, and I'm thinking like this is in a vacuum completely. Like we don't know who has these picks, so I think a lot of that will come down to that too.
Very true.
I think Travis Hunter is head and shoulders the best prospect coming out of college football.
Agreed.
If running backs were valued, I would really like Ashton Genty from Boise State.
Woo-hoo! That boy cold.
But running backs are continuously disrespected.
They are.
So, but he'll be up there. He should be. He's a game changer. For me, yeah, I think it's Hunter, Shador, and then Cam Ward in that order. And it'll obviously change based on who gets these picks. You know, if it's the Raiders, like how do you not take a quarterback first?
You have to. You have to.
Or and you get the package deal. Maybe you get Shador and Dion. Things are going to get weird this off season, so just be prepared.
I also think so. Don't forget, there's a lot of teams that are going to need quarterbacks. The Giants are going to be one.
Yeah. But if you're the Jaguars,
you pull the trigger? You got to
take Travis because you have Trevor locked up with a lot of money. So
you do.
It's going to be obviously dependent. So probably a little early for this question. But
it's just, we can always visit back to this, but it's just it's good to stir the pot a little bit and see where we're at with it. Take the temperature. Right now, Genty is definitely the number one running back prospect. So
that shouldn't be close.
It shouldn't be close at
all.
Who's
two?
Omarion Hampton from North Carolina.
Okay, I haven't watched him. I
haven't either. And the next is Caleb Johnson from Iowa.
Okay.
So yeah. That's very, very interesting. But yeah, Genty is he's on a historic pace, as they've said in this article, which is
crazy.
He's that. He's crazy. Him. He's him.
If you get a chance, watch Boise State. It's unreal. It's like Saquon-esque and how he looked at Penn State. Just
very, very true.
Power and speed. He's different.
The projection for number one wide receiver. Can you guess where Travis is on the list?
Wide receiver?
Yep.
Probably 2 or 3.
He's 3. That's good.
Okay. Yeah. Good. I'm curious to see what they do with him in the NFL.
Agreed. Yeah. Luther Burden III from Missouri is 2. And then McMillan from Arizona, who was a monster, is 1.
Monster. Yeah.
That's what we got there. Harrison, we're done here. Anything that you want to share with the people before you go?
Go Yanks. Go Birds. All the birds.
Stay with your one birds. That's gonna get clipped tonight. They're gonna get clipped.
The Redbirds. The Redbirds are winning tonight. Big game from Kyler coming.
It's not gonna happen.
Marvin Harrison's doesn't have a concussion. We're straight.
They're losing tonight.
Okay, we'll see.
All right, I'll be texting you. Don't worry. Everybody, this has been another episode of the Chasing Points Podcast, 148. We appreciate you guys for all listening. Listen to us on all major DSPs. Share it with your friends, your grandmas, your aunties, and all that. And we will be back next week for another episode. Go Yankees. Peace.